Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. I'd like to tell you a personal story about my dad and the relationship I had with him through the years. When I was a boy, I knew that my dad was a very angry man, and I knew that he was very critical of me. We had 5 kids, and none of us looked forward to Dad coming home from work because we had to walk on eggshells for the entire time. We never knew when Dad would go off or say something really mean and critical. And sometimes the spankings were worse than, was healthy or called for at the time. It just wasn't easy growing up. And then years later, my dad had a heart attack and he thought he was dying. And on what he thought was his deathbed, he told me something. He said, my father died when I was 15 years old. And he said, I loved my dad so much and I was so close to him that it hurt terribly. And he said, I vowed to myself I would never let anybody get that close to me again. And I never did. And suddenly it made sense to me that my dad was this broken child who had protected himself from ever feeling pain like that again. And as the years went on, Dad started to make some changes. And as far as his relationship with me, he went from my biggest critic to my biggest fan. He would come to lectures that I would do and say, that was so great. You were the best speaker. And he would just say these things that I never heard coming from his mouth before. One New Year's Eve, he called me up and he said, Happy New Year. I just want to tell you what a great man I think you are. And my first reaction was, who is this and what have you done with my father? But I resisted the silly joke and I thought, I felt the tears because this was my dad and he now finally appreciated me. He always loved me, but he didn't know how to express that. So it's been, I don't know, 13, 14 years since I lost Dad. But I have Dad in a box in my head, if you will. And in that box, I have the 3 funniest things he ever said. I have some of the great memories that I put together. But I don't have any resentment. And I don't have any of the painful things or the miserable things because I let those things go. And for the rest of my life, I'm going to have Dad in this place in my head where it's only positive because there's no need to hold on to anything else but the positive. I miss my dad. I love my dad. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of my life.